Welcome on back to another episode of the Goonery. Here to recap week one of the NFL season. And the more things change, the more they stay the same. Doesn't matter if Aaron Rodgers, the boogeyman, is not under center for the Green Bay Packers anymore. Jordan Love just seamlessly fits right in and handed it to the Bears at home week one. Brandon, I don't know about you. There was just an odd sense of optimism, in my opinion, going into this game. Finally, the changing of the guard. You really have to make a statement in this game. First game without Aaron Rodgers since 2009, 2008, whatever it is, in Green Bay. And Jordan Love era just kicks off right where they left off.
There's one question that I have to ask, and that is, where do we start with this? There is so many things we have to address. So first things first, I'm going to address the offense. And it has to be the most obvious thing because this was the talk of the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
Is Justin Fields with the newly acquired DJ Moore, a returning Darnell Mooney, and a heavily acquainted, as we thought, Chase Claypool into the playbook. How is this offense going to look?
It looked like the first
It
7 weeks of last year. It looked like the first
not
7, 8
only
weeks of last year.
not only did it look exactly like that, I can argue that it was low key worse. That's
Yeah.
how bad the performance was. And here's the thing: the, you heard the press conference today, and you heard this the conservative, like, oh, we was being too conservative. He wasn't going down the field enough. He was missing reads and whatnot. And there was one conclusion that set in, and obviously I knew this prior to the press conference happened, but one conclusion came into mind. Luke Getzey still don't has a clue who his quarterback is.
Nope.
Not a clue.
Nope.
Because I think with this game, they wanted to prove a point with Justin Fields and say, we did all this work in the offseason so he can win in the pocket. And it reminded me, with a team that has been successful as the Baltimore Ravens have been with Lamar Jackson, there is a reason why Greg Roman is not there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because too many times they tried to have him win from the pocket. They tried to, and they didn't get the wide receivers involved enough. The tight ends were the main part of the offense. It's the same thing that's happening with the Bears. Luke
Mm-hmm.
Getzey does not have a clue, and I know there's a lot of people that was calling for the job of Luke Getzey over after the game. And here's the thing: it may be reactionary, but I want people to keep this in mind.
I'm not sure if it even is reactionary.
It's, and I'm gonna tell you why it's not reactionary. Remember, after Washington, I forgot which week that was last year.
Mm-hmm. No, I do.
That was the time where they said we need to reset and check in with our quarterback, in which the response was very, very good because Justin Fields turned out to be the only piece worthwhile watching when
Mm-hmm.
watching the Bears. The only person on the
Well,
team.
you could argue the most exciting player in football the second half of the season last year.
Absolutely. And you know what the problem that we're about to run into again? We're about to talk about another reset where you do not know what to do with your quarterback and you got to go through the basics all over again.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, I don't have patience for this. Me and you have talked about this ad nauseum over the offseason that this is one of the most important years in Chicago Bears history.
Yeah.
And it seems right now, and I'm going to include Matt Eberflus in this because he is the guy that I've loved everything that he
Mhm.
has said throughout the offseason, throughout the preseason. But when your specialty is defense, and when you hire a guy on offense that doesn't know how to work with a quarterback that
What offense is?
does not win in the pocket, we have a problem, and I think it needs to be solved.
So there's a few different ways we could take this. I think obviously Justin Fields only attempting 2 passes over 15 yards is inexcusable. Went 2 for 2 on him. Don't get me wrong, 2 for 2, and everyone could go, "Ooh, the touchdown to Mooney." I'm going to be the first to tell you that ball was incredibly underthrown, and Justin Fields is lucky Mooney beat his man. That ball was
Yeah.
horribly underthrown, but a completion is a completion in stats, whatever. I did not like the quote from Justin after the game where it was something along the lines of why they asked him why he was relying on the check down so much. And he said, well, if it's there, I'm going to take it. That's fine. Completely get that. You take what's given to you. But when he then comes and follows that up with saying, well, that was the game plan. What the hell are you doing? It's year three. It's year three. You can't be doing that. And yes, a lot of that pressure, like there could be a reason behind that. It's one of two things. They don't trust the offensive line, which very well could be true.
Yeah.
Or number two, they don't trust Justin Fields. And we don't know which one it is going into year three. That's not a good thing. That's not a good thing at all.
And when you think about it, because I think it's definitely a mix of both, by the
I
way.
agree. No,
And
I
and
agree.
it's crazy because last year you could expect that, but not really, because also it kind of defeats the purpose of tanking. Because
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
if it was last year, even if guys weren't open, you were still just going to try to air it out because you know
Yep.
what the goal was. It was to lose as many games as possible. But when now you're trying to do the same thing against a team that, not for nothing, you beat this team. You're on cloud nine.
Yeah.
Like if the Bears would have beaten the Packers in Week 1, I think we would have had a legitimate conversation about whether they can make the playoffs this year, because
Mm-hmm.
that's a massive, massive game, and they missed a big opportunity. And I was listening to the press conference today with Fields, and someone asked him, and this is a just as shady as it gets towards Luke Getsy, and he said, how much leeway do you have to change the plays in the pocket? And he says, I'm not going to deviate from that. Listen, I completely understand you want to stick with the game plan, but
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to deviate from the game plan when you're down 14 points. It doesn't work that way.
Yep.
You have to
Clearly,
not be
clearly there's a
conservative.
flaw in the game plan.
And you know what's the most alarming thing? I can tell that there's no possible way Justin Fields can be happy in this offense. You want to know why? Because it went from, hey kid, manage the game with this regime, and with the last regime, they tell you go air that damn football out. And Matt Nagy, who doesn't have a clue of how to call plays, he was the main guy saying air the damn air the damn ball out. And we saw, and I'm not gonna lie, a lot of the times I saw all season highlights where people putting together these compilations for Justin Fields. A lot of that stuff from
Yep.
2021.
Yep.
It's completely different what we saw from 2021 to 2022, and that's an issue, and that is an issue of Luke Getsy not knowing who his quarterback is. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know I don't know what is the game plan. And maybe you're right. Maybe it is that you don't know what it is. What if it's the offensive line that's just unreliable, or it's the they just don't trust Justin Fields. You better figure out something, because I'm telling you, jobs are on the line. Are going to be on the line, and
Mm-hmm.
rightly so, because this year people are not expecting the Bears to make the playoffs unless you're crazy, and there has been people that have been saying
There
it.
are people who say that, yes.
People expected this team to be much better, and I didn't see one thing that convinced me that they're going to be better this year.
I'm going to be honest, Brandon. I have really, really struggled since Sunday all week to try and find even one positive from this, and it's been very, very hard to do. Tyreek Stevenson had an okay game, couple nice pass breakups. That was good to see. Roshan Johnson in the fourth quarter in garbage time, sure. How much you got to take that with a grain of salt, but when he got his number called, he came into the game. He ran harder than anyone we'd seen the entire game, both on both sides of the sidelines. Aaron Jones
Yeah,
included, AJ Dillon included. Roshan Johnson was running like the guy people kind of expected him to be when he was drafted.
yeah.
Well, you got to take that with a grain of salt, though. And other than that, I have not been able to find any type of positive from that game. And I'll tell you what might be an even bigger issue than the offensive line, and that's the defensive line. If you
Yeah.
can't get a push from your defensive line, you're fucked. You can argue the most important position group in all of football is your defensive line. And if they're not getting a push, the linebackers you went out and spent all this money on, what are, they're fucked. There's nothing for them to do. And I understand if you look at the roster turnover from the defensive line, Ryan Poles made an effort. He did make an effort to just completely restart this group. I believe it's like a 50% new group. I think like there's 8 guys on the roster. I think there's 4 new guys, which that's a lot of turnover in 1 year. I get they spent high draft capital, 2 second-round picks. They went out and got Naganu. Poles has been making that effort, but I just have a really, really hard time seeing how poorly this defensive line played and seeing how well Jalen Carter played week 1.
Yeah.
And I'm not out here saying that Darnell Wright was the wrong pick. I still think that's a good, solid draft pick. You needed to shore up your offensive line as well. But it looks like Jalen Carter is going to be what everyone said he was all along, and that's the most dynamic and the biggest game disruptor in the entire draft, most talented player in the draft. I mean, it took him 1/2 of football to have the most pressures from a defensive tackle as a rookie of all time in one game. The single season record, single game record. It took him 1/2 of football, his first half of professional football.
See, when I look at this defense, and I envision what Matt Eberflus wants this defense to be. I think about the Lovie Smith Bears defenses that he had, most notably 2006, where they basically run the same defense.
That's the thing. You need a strong push from your defensive line if you want that Tampa 2 to be even remotely successful.
And you know what? They don't have a Tommy Harris on that line. They don't have an Awale Aguli on that line. They don't have an Alex Brown. They have none of those guys on that line. The only guy that's close, that's probably you're going to see production of, is Ngakoue. And let's be honest, we expected that. DeMarcus Walker had a career year with 8 sacks. That's not saying much. And you have a defensive tackle, which, by the way, the only real positive we could say out of this is that Andrew Billings might have been a very underrated signing.
Yes.
I like what I saw from him.
Yes.
But outside of that, you had Justin Jones was making the comments about the Packers. I didn't even know he was on the field. That's how that's how much he was a non-factor.
Yeah.
And then you had 2 guys in Pickens and Dexter who are going to be in development mode this entire season. You can't rely on that if you have any intention of contending this year. It's just not going to work that way. And you just wonder, for a team that has a head coach that specializes in defense, it's almost as if we are having the same issues on the offensive side and then the defensive side. They don't know their own personnel. Why in the hell is Jalen Johnson and Tyreek Stevenson playing soft zone the entire game? This is not their strength. It never has been in their careers. Even in college, Tyreek Stevenson wasn't primarily playing some zone. It's not going to work. If you trust your safeties, and let me tell you, Eddie Jackson had a bad game, but I'm not going to say he's a bad player.
No, he's
but
not.
You have to trust your safeties, man. Let these guys do their job over the top. Play more man. Send more blitzes. You have athletes at linebacker now in which you can create pressure. It has to happen. It's a joke.
On the topic of safeties, I'm usually not someone who cares when players are making comments about the opponent or whatever post game. Quan Brisker's got to learn to just shut his mouth, man. Yeah. You can't come out of that ass kicking and say, "Oh, Jordan Love is just any other quarterback." Blah blah blah. He made you look silly. You got mollywopped at home. Week 1, you had one team to prepare for all off season. You knew what to kind of expect, at least. All off season was for this one game. And I will say it was the worst game of the Matt Eberflus era.
I agree. It rivals that Lions game late in the season. Like that was like the worst. But I will say this: is it bad that I somewhat understand what he's saying? Because
I know I don't think it's bad.
It's a bad optic to say after optics, a game.
Yes, after the result of that game, it's just a bad optics. You could say that all you want in the locker room, and if that somehow got out and it wasn't in a press conference, I wouldn't care. Good.
Yeah,
Talk like that amongst your teammates. Completely fine.
yeah.
But when you're trying to make a name for yourself, I think that's what it was. I think he wanted people to be talking about him. There's nothing wrong with that. He's a very talented player. He's got a very bright future on this defense. And it's just, dude, I I I don't I can't imagine the coaching staff was happy with that comment either. But here's the thing. Can the players be happy with the coaching staff for the game plan that they had? I mean, at both
No.
sides, it just feels like it's a locker room divided at this point. It just there's no one is on the same page.
And mind you, this is week one. Week one.
Yeah.
I think even Demarcus Walker had a comment
Mm-hmm.
about something that happened in the game. And he said no comment. You know what that really means? I really want to
I
comment, but
want
if
to
I
comment, but
do,
I
I'm
can't.
gonna get brought to the office.
Yep.
It, I'm telling you now, the wheels are gonna fall off this quick if they don't come out and beat Tampa Bay. Because they
And
got Kansas City wait for them next week on a 425 slot. Oh boy, they better beat Tampa Bay. Because I'm telling you
yeah,
now, a lot of people are going to ask some tough questions. And I feel like Ryan Poles gives off that impression of a guy who has the integrity to not fire somebody in season. But if the wheels fall off this,
dude.
you are going to be left
Yeah,
with no choice. And I get it. I think he's going to fall back on there are holes in his rust that we can't fill in one off season. So maybe in that regard, he is not going to hold Eberflus too accountable for it. But when you see the lapses in defense, the ineffectiveness on offense,
mm-hmm.
what can you do to change the entire thing when you see there is no difference from last year to this year? What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, and here's the thing too. People are finally starting to ridicule and call out all of the moves that Ryan Poles has been making since he's been here. He's finally under the microscope, I think. You can chalk up the Chase Claypool trade as now. I mean, let's just start right there. They could cut Chase Claypool right now, and the team would not miss a beat. I have never watching film seen a supposed starting receiver look so bad in the run game. You're telling me that Equimanius St. Brown is going to be inactive moving forward, and Chase Claypool is not
That was ridiculous, to be honest.
one of the best run blocking receivers in all of football. You're telling me that you're focused on your receivers being able to secure the edge and secure the outside and block efficiently, and St. Brown's not going to be active, but you're going to see Claypool just completely give no effort. I don't know what this coaching staff needs to do. I don't know what the front office needs to do. There's no reason Chase Claypool should be active week 2. There's no reason.
No reason. No, not a reason, especially him being a non-factor in the game. And
No,
I,
he was a factor. It was a negative factor. He
well,
was a
yeah,
factor.
I mean, yeah. But you know what? It's a joke that this dude is trying to get a new contract from whether it be the Bears or anybody. This guy's trying to get a new contract, and he has the temerity to go out there and play like that. But even worse, after that that press conference where Eberflus said everything's on the table when it comes to him potentially being inactive for Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
you declined to talk to the media. Who in the
Who
hell do
are
you
you?
think you are? I know you're soft as shit, but do you have any type of integrity for you to get called out? And I'm pretty sure he was one of the first people that they talked to on Monday after
Yep.
that game. I'm pretty sure.
You
And you
would
go out
have
there
to
and
assume.
you basically I'm pretty sure they talked about effort, being a part of this team, all that. And you just debunk all that by not talking to the media.
Dude, he's
Who do you
lucky.
think you are?
He's lucky his key card worked on Tuesday. He is
I'm,
lucky his key card got him into Hallis Hall on Tuesday. And it just sucks because that's a move at the time I didn't hate. I don't think either of us hated it at the time. Thought, he's young, he's big, he's athletic, he's shown that he can put it together. Just needs a change of scenery.
yeah.
And looks like a change of scenery was the worst thing that could have ever happened to Chase Claypool's career.
And you know something? If Mike Tomlin gives up on you,
That is
you
a telltale sign.
yeah, yeah, one
Like,
thousand percent.
let's bring him to Chicago where there hasn't been stability in over 10 years. That makes sense, right?
Right, right. But I tell you, with everything that has happened, I want to talk to people that's going to be watching this. What it's like to be a Bears fan. You
Pain,
and your part, you like
misery.
you. What was that?
I was just pain, misery, feels like you're neglected. It's an abusive relationship. Could go
I'm
on
gonna
about all Chicago sports with the same tangent.
I'm gonna give you the perfect scenario. You get home from work, and all you want to do is tell your partner how your day went, what's the tea, all that good stuff. Your partner calls you and tells you that they're going to be going out with their friends after work. And this is the third time the partner has done this week, and you're sick of it. When your partner gets home, you talk about it, you reach an agreement, and there's an agreement of change. The first day is good, the second day is good, and the third day, you get the same call saying, I'm going out with my friends again. And you're stuck at home saying, we just talked about this. Why aren't you changing? We just talked.
Oh,
That's what it's like.
no, it
That's
is.
what it's like. They
It
tell
is.
you they're going to change and they never do. They never do. You can get a new president, you're going to get a new GM, new head coach, a quarterback that we all believe in, and nothing's changed. Same thing every year. Every year.
It's. I mean, I started the show with it. Same shit, different year. It's all it is. It's you. Like, where do you even begin? Like the levels of dysfunction with this organization. It doesn't make sense. One of these supposed premier franchises, and I'll say it, all of American professional sports, honestly, one, and it's just there's nothing there. There's no juice. There is no will to win. There's no will to get better. They're playing in a shitty stadium, the smallest in all professional football. I know there's talks for Arlington to move to Arlington Heights. I still don't think it's going to happen. It's a mess. It's a mess. And if we did not think, and I know this is going to sound super overreactionary. I mean, it's at week one. It's week one. It's a long season, but you can't come out of the gates like that. That is the equivalent of the Challenger exploding. There's so much optimism. There's so much optimism. Oh. The first couple plays, first couple drives, field started what, 8 for 9, 9 for 10, something like that. You're like, okay, there's some promise here. You're climbing.
Yep.
You could even argue going for it on fourth down on that first drive is when the Challenger exploded. I mean,
yep,
like the minute
yep.
that happened, I was watching that game with my dad, my uncles, my cousin. The minute that happened, I'm like, all right. They tried out there. I'm like, all right, they're just gonna try and draw them off sides, and they're gonna take the 5 yards and punt. Okay, fine. Fully expected that. I think just about everyone expected that. When that ball snapped, I can't even replicate the groan that was like the noise of that groan that was in that room because it was just what? And I don't know what was worse, that or the third down play call. I mean,
What was that third down play?
The direct snap to Cole Kmet.
Forgot about that.
Third and 1. Let's give a direct snap to our tight end. Like I thought that shit was gone when Matt Nagy got fired.
Literally. That was as egregious as the play call of a tight end around in the fourth quarter with the game on the line when Kansas City did it.
Yep.
And then we do it. Yep.
It's inexcusable. It's just inexcusable.
You run out of words. You run out of words to say because there's
really
no
do.
way.
I mean, you really do because last year at this time, we could have gone for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and just kept going and going and going. And right now, it's just like, I don't know what else to say. I legitimately don't know what else to say because we've said it all.
Yep.
We've said it all time and time again, and nothing has changed. Nothing will change, it seems. And I hope, because I mean, I'm at least optimistic for the second week a little bit. Just the tiniest bit optimistic, just because Justin Fields said he acknowledges he needs to be more aggressive. He needs to take more shots down the field. So let's see it. Let's see it. If you're acknowledging it, Justin Fields always says all the right things. I will never knock him for that. He takes everything on the chin. He doesn't hide from it. He acknowledges his shortcomings. And I'll always appreciate that about Justin Fields. Let's see what you say. Let's see you back up what you say you need to improve on. Let's see you do what you say you're going to do on the field. You say you're going to push the ball down the field this week? Show me. Show everyone. You were known in college as being one of the premier deep ball throwers in the country. Show everyone you still got it, because it's in there. It's in there somewhere.
I've had a whole off season of giving the most creepiest smile to my phone in public for all the things the Bears have been saying. I don't want to hear nothing else. I don't want to hear about change. And to be honest, I really do appreciate Justin Fields coming out and saying what he said.
I do.
But I also don't care. I don't care. I genuinely do not care, because I need to see results. All I hear is about how things are going to be different in Chicago. I heard it all off season. I do not care what is being said. Show me something. Show me that things are different, and then I'll come back here with a better attitude. But until then, I don't want to hear it from none of these people. None of them. And I love Justin Fields. I don't want to hear it, bro.
I know.
Don't do it.
Show us. Show us
Show
something.
us something.
It's
Show us something.
3. It's year 3. We got to see it, because guess what? If this trajectory continues, Bears might have the first 2 picks in the draft. There's a legitimate shot they have the first 2 picks in the draft. And guess what? At that point, you're taking Caleb Williams, or maybe you're trading the first pick and let someone else take Caleb Williams, and then you take Drake May. But I don't know if I could do another North Carolina quarterback in the second spot. I don't think I can mentally do that.
Hello, J.J. McCarthy.
No. But it just, I can't believe it's week 1 and I'm already thinking, man, is Caleb Williams going to be the Bears quarterback next year? Like, I can't believe I'm there. I don't know how I'm there. I never thought I would be there.
Hey, you know what?
I didn't think I would be there in December.
Yeah. But that's what it's like being a Bears fan.
Yep.
Point blank.
Yep. So obviously week 1, very, very disappointing, Brandon. What are a couple of things that you would like to see in week 2 that you can confidently say you've seen improvements and you can tell they worked on something?
I want to see continuity on the offensive line. And what I saw from the offensive line was a group that hasn't played a lot together, and especially from the right guard position, where, if you ask me, that looked like a guy in Nate Davis who did not participate in a lot of training camp, and it showed. It very much showed. He looked soft, and he looked like he did not belong out there.
Yep.
And the guard positions, from left guard, center position, and right guard position, I need to see better play all around. Darnell Wright is going to have his struggles, and I'm very, 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 very well aware of that. But he did not play bad for a guy who's a rookie, being put up against a very good defensive line against the Packers. Braxton Jones looked like he's going to be really good. He just needs to cut down on the penalties.
Yep, that was exactly what I was going to say in regards to Braxton Jones.
And second, I want to see better play designs. I mean, you got people running to the same side. Cole Kmet is just out there burning calories. Get him involved. Get 85 involved. You gave him a big contract for what?
Gave him the contract. What the hell are you going to use him for? And how about
get him involved?
How about Robert Tonyan's lack of playing time? You go out and spend all that money on a backup tight end, and you're not going to play him.
And I know he was injured, but if he's injured, don't deactivate him. Carlson got brought up from the practice squad for that reason. That was ridiculous.
So I agree with you on continuity on the offensive line. I do think it's going to be better. Like you mentioned, I think there's a lot of moving parts. You just need to get up to game speed, and that's what the preseason's for. But hey, sometimes it doesn't work out that way, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I want to see more from Roshan Johnson this week. You
Absolutely.
saw what he was able to do in the fourth quarter. He clearly looked like the best pure between the tackles runner out of the three running backs. I think it's becoming abundantly clear. Khalil Herbert is a great change of pace back.
Yeah.
He is great at what he does. If you use him correctly, he is a more. I don't call me crazy. I think he's a more dangerous Tariq Cohen because he's a better runner than Tariq Cohen, but he's just as dangerous in my opinion when he has the ball in his hands in the open field as a receiver. And I
Yeah.
think if you use also shout out to Tariq Cohen for signing with the Panthers. Good to
One
see.
thing, yeah, I'm rooting for him.
Yeah, but use Khalil Herbert how he should be used and how you're going to see the efficiency just spike.
Yep.
Donta Foreman, yeah, use him on short yardage, whatever. You're going to use him. You spent the money on him. That's fine. He didn't look bad, but
Definitely the third out
he's
of
the
the out
third.
of
He's the third in this trio.
yeah.
Roshan Johnson looked the best out of all of them.
Oh yeah.
What do you
Not
have?
even
I think he
close.
had five receptions. I mean, the rushing yard numbers weren't staggering. He's the only guy lowering his shoulder consistently running between the tackles. I know it was late in the fourth quarter. Let's see what he could do. Open it up in the first half. Establish the run. You establish the run. Guess what? The play action is going to work better. Fields' legs are going to be more efficient. It's just run the damn ball is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If you're not going to trust Justin Fields to throw the ball down the field, run the damn ball.
I it's only a matter of time before Roshan Johnson is leading the back of this group. It was so
It was so
blatantly
abundantly
apparent,
clear.
so abundantly clear that he is the most talented out of the group, and I think he's gonna. It's gonna take time too, because I know this coaching staff is going to want to ease him into more playing time, but it's trending that way. But lastly, defensively, change up the looks, man. You're not fooling anybody with this stuff. Blitz more, put more man to man, do something, man, because this soft zone is going to get just it's going to get exposed week after week after week. It has to be a change, man. And if not, this tells me they are the definition of insanity.
Mm-hmm.
So I just hope that the defensive line get more push. I know the Bucs offensive line is not the greatest, but if they can't get pressure on this group, oh, it's gonna be a long year.
It's going to be a long year. So right now, the Bears are 2.5 point underdogs in Vegas. What are your thoughts there?
I'll bump the number up a little bit. I think it should be 5 point underdogs.
I'm with you. I would have
Yeah.
guessed this is the first time I've looked at that line, and I would have guessed it closer to a touchdown. And that over, you bet your ass that over 41 is hitting because that Bears defense is putrid. And
Yep. And I was just about to say, if it's gonna go over, it would not be on the Buck side.
nope, nope. Mm-mm. And Baker Mayfield actually looked efficient. So
Which disgusts me to my very core, but what can you do?
Baker, touchdown maker, man.
Ugh.
But with that being said, that is going to wrap up this week's episode of the Goonery. If you made it this far, I'm sure you're just in just as much pain as us two, but we appreciate it. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to the show. And Brandon, I know you have some exciting news. If you want to announce it to everyone, let them know where you can find it.
Absolutely. So your boy here that has all the hats being worn every single episode for over a year now. I am getting one made myself, and I am going to the hat's going to release on proimagesports.com, and it's going to be dropping at 3:30. And also, as a little bit of a bonus, on a page that I will send over a link, so it will be put in a description. I had an interview while constructing the hat. So I will be sending that over. Put that link in the description. You can watch that and watch how everything came together. But to say I'm excited about this is an understatement. This was my main goal for the year, and I hope there's going to be a lot of people buying it because I'm loving the hat, and I've got a lot of people that's loving the hat. Run that pre-order up, man.
Hey, I know how hard you've been working towards it. I'm very happy for you, man. Can't wait to be wearing it. Can't wait to be
Pre-
wearing it.
Appreciate you, man.
But yeah, get your hats, everyone. With that
That's
being
right.
said, thank you again, and we will see you next week, hopefully in a better mood.
Yeah, man.